My name is Rajesh Veeraraghavan. I'm a PhD student at Berkeley, the School of Information. I'm going to try to land you from the satellite to Earth, a different part of Earth that we didn't cover so far, which is India. I'm going to talk about arguably one of the most innovative open government projects, ironically pioneered by a state government in India. This is part of my dissertation. I'm going to talk about a very small slice of it. I think, in some sense, some of the questions have been already raised, I think, by Christian before. So, which is that I want to kind of talk about two questions I think anybody thinking about open government should raise. One is that open government for whom? And the second question is, what is getting opened? I mean, I think these two questions have implications in terms of the results. So if you think of traditional expectation of flow of an open government project, the idea is that in the simplest level, it's you open up records. There's some notion of transparency that is there, which would result, or there's a hope that it'll increase participation from citizens or beneficiaries of the project, which will lead to accountability. So that's the kind of traditional flow of any open government project. The ideas that it relies on are participation, decentralization, and as I said, they talk about government records. You typically, and I would argue they typically serve an auditing function of sorts. I'm going to focus on a model called the Andhra Model, which takes a different view or answers these questions in a different way. First, the open government project is for the top bureaucrats in the state of Andhra. The problem that they set out to solve is it's a typical problem that is there in many developing countries, which is known as the last mile corruption. In the eyes of the top bureaucrats, the way it works is there's a collusion at the local level between local bureaucrats and politicians. And so, in some sense, they set out to solve that problem using the idea of open governance. The mechanism that they use is two things. One is open data, which we heard. The second, which I think we've not heard so far, is opening up practices. So I'll first talk about opening up data. So the mechanism by which they open up data is gather data from the projects at the field level, at the village level, and digitize them and put it up in the web. So that's one segment. The people that we're talking about in this context do not have access to the web. So what they've done is basically come up with an innovative idea of actually having what they call it a social audit, which is once in 6 months, they take the data which is available on the web and read it out publicly. So it's a process of public hearing, which they translate these data which is there on the web to people who are often illiterate and who don't have access to the data on the web. So that's number one. The second aspect, which I think is particularly interesting, which is opening up practices. It's not data, it's practices. The idea is that, again, the vision is that the local bureaucrats and the politicians are the problem. So what they do is they want to turn everyday practices that are done by the local bureaucrats in their office legible. So, so they do that by forcing local bureaucrats, to use a computing system that they've created. So every transaction that gets done at the local level is through this computing system. In other words, for example, if you want to open up a work, you have to use a software for it. If you want to allocate a bunch of workers to a particular work site, you have to use a software for it. In some sense, kind of allowing for both tracking and also managing local operations using a computing system. This involves phones, PCs, etc. As you can imagine, eventually this led to a situation where the planning bureaucrats have started remotely controlling, in the best interests, if I may add, what work gets open, what happens at the field level. So in some sense, the micro practices that exist at the village level gets tracked and controlled. So you would have a bureaucrat sitting in Hyderabad, which is the state capital, deciding where the work in the village is allowed and who are the workers who are supposed to be working in that plot. So in some sense, kind of keeping track and regulating what is happening. So that's what was happening. So if in some sense, it complicates the flow that I originally talked about, which is, in this case, participation is a given. The participation is by top bureaucrats, which results in an increase in transparency. So the transparency is seeing the local practices of lower bureaucrats via a computing system they developed. This eventually, as I said, resulted in controlling the practices of the lower bureaucrats. So the way they do it is, so this is they have a computing system that exists, right? So let's say you find a particular deviation of somebody not following rules in a particular village. They have this idea of a software patch, very similar to Windows updating the patch, where they would send, instead of sending a circular or a government order saying, hey, this work is banned, all they do is install a software patch and force the local computing system to update it. So in some sense, you have this new way of government, which is almost like, if something is wrong, just reboot the computer or reboot the government. So that's the model in which they're going. So as you can imagine, the talks we heard so far, when you talk about open governance, we have feelings of decentralization, participation. But here you have a very different story. You have centralization, and as opposed to decentralization. So I would end with the final, kind of footnote that this project, this wish of these bureaucrats, did not quite go as well. I mean, there was resistance to an open governance project, which we didn't hear much of so far. In the sense, open governance project is not something that you can decide and then push it down. So there are people resisting, in this case, lower bureaucrats, resisting the idea of opening up data or letting the bureaucrats to kind of micromanage practices. So for example, they would not install the software patch. They would kind of try and close down, occlude the vision of the bureaucrats in many innovative ways. So that happens. So, but I think the bottom line, I want to kind of revisit this whole question that needs to be asked, which is open governance for whom and what is getting open. And I think in this case, you see that it led to centralization and controlling practices. So I think that's where I end. Thanks.